Welcome to Ride the Wave, hosted by me, Jeff Fisher, and co-hosted by Mark Robinson, in partnership with the Ride the Wave Foundation. Visit us at ridethewave.org, where we're dedicated to empowering their lives through free resources in servant leadership, mental health wellness, and how to find a purpose. At Ride the Wave, we believe in the power of every story, talent, and voice. Our commitment is clear: to bridge divides, unite communities, and build an all-inclusive, modern campus for those experiencing homelessness. So let's dive in and ride the wave of positive change together. Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us today and riding the wave. Mark Robinson, how's it going, buddy?
Morning, Jeff. How are you?
Good. How's everything going with you?
Not too bad, not too bad. How was your weekend?
It was good, thanks. It was good. Beautiful weather.
Nice.
Except for maybe a little bit yesterday, but
A little bit.
yeah. No, everything's going good. Today's guest is Ron Gillock. Ron is a lender, life coach. He's a reverend, entrepreneur, community leader. He's experienced in the nonprofit sector. He has a master's of business from Eastern University and a bachelor's in marketing with a minor in advertising for another university. Multiple certifications. There's a lot that I don't have on here or can't say, into many different things. Wilderness first aid, for example, food safety protection, Christian life coach, and some experiences, just digital business development, a founder and operator of Covenant Real Estate, and co-founder of the King's Network. So like I said, there's more to Ron. He's definitely into a wide variety of things. And Ron, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate you coming through.
Hey, thanks for inviting me. It's a privilege to be here, and I think we're going to have a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. And so everybody knows I met Ron at church, at Liquid Church in Somerville. After service, they offer some prayer requests. So people stand up and you can go up to them and say a prayer. And I wanted to say something about my mom's health, or have somebody pray for that. And also the foundation, really what we have going on. And right away, I was feeling it. I felt like we had a connection. I think that day, the spirit was definitely there within me. So I was energized by that morning between you and I. And you're also somebody that could relate to being an entrepreneur, being somebody who deals with projects a lot. Sure. So, thank you for the encouragement and your support right off the bat, and that amazing prayer too. I appreciate you for that.
Yeah, no, you're cool, man. I wish more people realize the power of prayer and utilizing that.
Yeah, there's nothing better when a group prays like that, or in group when everybody is together. I do feel like it's powerful. So yeah, that was something you did very well.
Right on. Thanks, man. Absolutely.
So wherever you want to start, I know it's a pretty broad question, but just a bit about your life, about yourself.
Yeah. I think for today, I want to call our talk Exodus from the Kingdom of Hustle. And I think it'll make sense as I share my story, why I use that language. But yeah, my name's Ron Gillock. I've been born and raised in New Jersey, spent some time in Florida doing real estate, going to school, get involved in network marketing and different things up there. But I've always been an entrepreneur since 18, maybe even younger, I don't know about you guys do lemonade stands or sell candy door to door, things like that.
I used to knock on doors quite a bit and ask people to shovel snow.
Boom.
Shovel snow for $10, 15. Yeah. Somebody gave me a 20. I thought it was amazing. Yeah.
That's great. Nice. That's great.
Yeah. I did the candy selling.
Did you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's somebody near me, a younger girl. I gave her a 20. She was doing that, and that's not something you see often, doing a lemonade stand. So I really appreciate the original hustle there. So I had gone out and just gave her a 20. It was nice. Waved to the parents. I was glad to see that.
Yeah. I like that you just used that word, the original hustle.
Yes.
Because we'll come back to that as I share a new project we're launching this week. My wife and I. But yeah, I've always been an entrepreneur, been doing different things, real estate, network marketing. I owned a digital marketing agency. And wherever I can do something creative, that really seems to get me going. I had a fear since I was little. I remember when I was 4 years old, getting into a car late at night, and then all of a sudden we're driving to New Jersey for the next few days. Yeah. Not really sure what was going on, but my family was actually losing their home. They were losing their house, and we needed to move up to be with my mom's family. We moved into a basement in Elizabeth for a while before that.
And you came from Florida, right?
We were in New Jersey. My family's always been New Jersey, Florida at some point. That's kind of the theme. So yeah, we were living in a basement in Elizabeth for a while, mom and dad, my sister. And then as I watched dad start to do better as a business owner and entrepreneur himself, we slowly got out of that more impoverished style of living, and we went to.
Do you know if he was taking a step back to taking two steps back to take 4 forward there? Was he taking a risk to become an entrepreneur with that in mind, do you know? Or was it something where hard times led to the creativity and him pursuing that entrepreneurship?
You know, my father's always been wired entrepreneurially as well. My grandfather was like a VP in some corporate America company. I think they were in manufacturing or something. Yeah. And then my father was a financial planner, so sold insurance and then other products and stuff. And as you change your clientele and get different licenses and things like that, your income can grow. So that's what was happening at the time. So I kind of was part of watching hey, we don't have enough money to eat today. Mom and dad are selling their sofa. What's happening here? Yeah. Now we're going up to New Jersey, and we're in a basement. I got water up to my ankles. Oh, mom and dad are walking around with their head to the side like this, and just realizing I'm 4 or 5. This is normal. I don't have another experience as a young kid. So when I got older, I got my father introduced me to real estate. And long story short with that, I got a hold of some credit cards, and I maxed them out
I can relate to that.
to pay for the training and the education to learn how to invest in real estate. Because I was like, all right, these guys are talking about how to do it with no money. I have no money. I'm 17, 18. But there's obviously a way to do it. Let me take a risk and figure it out.
You were spending money on so much more productive things than I was. Right. Mine was going towards DVDs and just nonsense that probably I should have been at that time spending it on education and doing that. Now I understand the value, and learning and sitting down doing the show or just anything really is great. Curiosity to that, is that a big part of it? And then surrounding myself with people that are better than me. Making sure learning from them all the time, I think, are two components. And it's fun for me, that the relationship aspect and what I learned from people I normally wouldn't think, or just average people that have such great stories, The learning aspect's the greatest.
Right.
Yeah, I think keeping that sense of curiosity
good way of putting
is very key, and then it leads to serendipitous moments, or I like the phrase divine encounters. So I feel like God's leading me here. I keep saying yes to things, and good things are happening.
Great. Right.
You guys have this, call it ride the wave. Yep. If I were to put another way to say that, I think is following the Spirit. Yeah.
It's another name for the Spirit.
Yeah.
It really is, because that's essentially overall what that is. It's sparking that. It's getting people to that.
And it's funny you say that, because it's really basically what is about spirituality, bringing different spirits and different entities, working with the connections that we have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Working with, with you working with your company, NCK, putting those connections, and then now we're partnering with the people, partner with them to reach the people spiritually.
Absolutely. And it really is that find somebody, follow the wave or voice. You're going to be nervous. So there's things in place to get over that, or maybe within the process, we could help with that. And then once you engage with that eye contact, that handshake, and you're open a certain way, so even standing with the chest out, how to approach people to connect, and then ride that wave. And then eventually that tidal wave that comes, so really that's what's missing, I think, too. And you could relate to this, I think, is wearing the shoes. Is people could read as much when it comes to the gospel, things like that, but unless we act it out. And when I started to, that's what is really the evolution from episode number 1 until now. So really that engagement, that humanity, that looking at somebody and even leaving them with a gift, even if it's not money, but just encouragement. That's when I left that conversation with Daryl, fueled him with encouragement, and it changed both our lives. So that type of thing, checking up on each other, I think is the component that's missing, is the action part.
Yeah. Like the good book says, faith without works is dead.
Right.
100%. And I think so let me bridge the gap there. I was a real estate investor for a while, for like 5 years. And, from not having much growing up, I wanted to, create income. I wanted to create wealth. I wanted to not have my family go through similar things that I did. So in doing that, I was like, all right, great. I can make money with real estate. But I did not know how to steward it, how to take care of money. So I was buying stupid things, just wasting it, getting high, getting drunk, and it got to a bad point. I actually struggled with addiction for a while. I got 5 years now since my last relapse.
Congrats.
Thanks, guys. But I found out that that was empty, and I'm like, all right. I took a step back, got sober, went to Bible school, got my life in a decent place, and got married. And about that same time as I had started another business, more directly faith-based. It was called Christ-Centered Coaching. Okay. And I did online business development, and I owned a digital marketing agency. So we helped speakers, coaches, leaders design their online platforms and websites and help them get their message out there and create info products, membership sites, all that good stuff. And in doing that, I was like, all right, great, we're helping people, this feels good. But then when I went to scale it several years ago, I found things to be a little bit different. I had shifted from starting a business where I was like, man, the whole point of why I started that business is I wanted people to be able to hear the Spirit. I had grown up in church my whole life, and I had just believed God is real. Right? I've never been quite the biggest fan of traditional Big C church, but I've always been able to feel like I could hear God's voice since a young age. So that connection was really important to me, and being able to be still and slow down. I'm like, well, I want to teach other people this. People are like, how do you know that's God talking to you and not your own thoughts and stuff? One real quick thing on that, I found that the Spirit will lead, guide, and direct, and it can be covered in peace, even while outside your comfort zone.
Yeah, I believe that.
That's how you know.
I've experienced that.
But yourself or your own will force, drive, compel, push, feels like stress, anxiety. I must. Do you feel the difference?
Yeah, when taking on things myself, I feel the difference. For me, scripture, my morning routine, things like that, it's a spiritual fuel. Mm-hmm. You know, there's an energy to it, and I think that, and I didn't really have a traditional type upbringing too, so I'm not anchored into that. So, you know, a place like Liquid to me is great.
Sure.
Somewhere where it's more, not TED Talk, but you know what I mean, more play style. It leads more directly into everyday things too, or they talk about everyday life, which I feel like I need that more. And maybe some people that may think of the traditional kind of boring setup, no offense, but yeah, I mean, it's cool. Yeah, like I think it's also more appealing to the younger generation too, the social media and things like that. So preserving the message to make it more modern, I think is important. And what I think that's great what you are doing with the digital marketing. If you're going to know anything nowadays, that's something that's really good to do, especially having a real genuine message like that too.
Well, I actually closed that business down.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I actually gave it away 2 years ago, because here's what I found is that you can have a mission, an organization, a great thing, and like desire to scale it and do good, and we can impact all these people, and all these people can get help and stuff. And I remember, at the height of things, we had somewhere between 50 and 70 professional life coaches in different sectors of business that we were supporting, helping with their marketing and things. And man, I think you can have a business or an organization partnered with God, or you can have one partnered off of God's reputation. And there's a difference there. And I slipped into that reputation model, and somehow fell off in trying to scale and trying to reach more people. And we've all heard more money, more problems. Yeah. And as you scale, there's more mouths that you have to feed and account for. There's more jobs, there's more meetings, there's all of that stuff. And it's like, man, is this actually what I signed up for? And what I found is I was the producer of my own chaos.
Do you feel like your ego, in a sense, or yourself was taking over more? Did you feel like you were taking it on yourself, not being a vessel or a conduit? Because I feel like a lot of it for me is putting myself in a position to humble myself through prayer, things like that, certain scriptures, to be that vessel, which is not easy all the time, because you tend to, I'll think about things I could do myself, or stress out about something maybe the next day I should be doing. But really, in hindsight, I know that I'm being directed. And when I'm connected, then that's that sort of that groove, that ideal space. But it's normal to get off of it, up and on. I mean, that's it. That's what it is. So
I think we are meaning-making machines. And what I mean by that is, like, you can make success or money or things mean a lot of different things. So I think my ego, my sense of self, those things can get become part of your identity. So then in like letting that business go, like, man, I took almost a 2-year sabbatical after that. I've never taken a break since I was 18, just like go. Like the only time I really stopped was to go to rehab and get clean for a minute.
Yeah. But you're young.
Yeah.
Experience. Failure, if you know how to fail. If you're somebody that understands that's a part of it, it's not easy at the time, but you moving forward and having other ventures and things like that, you can only take it as a lesson later.
You have to, right? Last year, I tried starting another business, a kayak business that we couldn't get off the ground for a variety of permitting issues and things like that. But
I think that's ridiculous, permit issues, by the way. That would be, that being the reason.
New Jersey would control whether you can get in the water or not, right?
Yeah, I know.
Right.
So so yeah, like doing all those different those good work, but basically riding God's reputation and not totally in line with the Spirit. I think that's the thing I probably value the most right now. I've learned that as an entrepreneur, business is relatively simple, and I think anyone can learn those keys and those things. Buy low, sell a product for more, create value, offer that value for a fee to somebody who needs it. Mm-hmm. Those are kind of like the two things: services and goods, and clarity of message to the right people. That's kind of how I'd like bulk those things down. But I think like each of us has also been wired with unique gifts, talents, abilities, desires. Mm-hmm. And when you can slow down enough to really connect to the Holy Spirit and say, man, what have I been wired for? What have I been what are the desires of my heart? Mm-hmm. And you can slow down and listen to those things and realize they're not a waste of time, but they're actually indicators of your gifting, of your skill set, and lean into those things and see what happens. Kind of like taking a little seed, and planting it in the ground, and let me cultivate that. Let me water it. Let me make sure it's getting some time in the sun. We do that with any gift, talent, skill set. Like you're gonna improve to the point where eventually it can also be a source of income. It can be a source of peace. Jeff, what's that saying about 1,000? Is it 10,000 hours or 1,000 hours? You're an expert at something.
Oh,
what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. Around 10,000 something.
I think it's the 10,000.
10,011 maybe. Yeah, I know what you mean. I think it's 21 days for a habit, and around that for. Yeah, you mean to perfect something. If you're going to be if you're going to be an expert at something. Just straight up do it. Yeah, you have to do it constantly.
Yeah. So during this period of sabbatical, I had been trying different things. Getting involved with art, getting my real estate license. I tried starting another AdWords agency, and getting our first customer, and I'm like, I hate this. I don't want to do this again. Mm-hmm. Let me get rid of this. Yeah. So, dipping your toes back into the thing you were doing in the past and say, is this really for me now?
Were you at the church when they did the EHS program?
Probably.
Which was a deep dive into your past, kind of present, and then future, and then daily habits. That
I've always been a big proponent, and we've coached in the past on emotionally healthy spirituality. I used to have all of our coaches on staff go through a program like that, and me and my wife have explored that and gone through it with Liquid Church as well. Yeah,
because I just seek and you shall receive, sort of is my thought, and finding a purpose. There are strategies to be able to do that on the back end, action plans, workbooks.
Sure.
There's, books you could read, things that you could, in your free time. I figure if I'm going to be sitting around on social media, I might as well make myself useful and try to learn something or better a skill or something like that. So I'm a workbook nerd all the times. But yeah, I think that, do you think that you have found a purpose with what you're doing, or are you still trying to find the right thing to do? I know you had the kayak thing recently. Or do you feel like that's you, that you'll always be pursuing many different things?
Yeah. So I think the key to doing multiple things well is great systems. Mm-hmm. And when we talked earlier, you can hear I've done a lot of different things, but if you put them and you squeeze them all together, it sounds like this person's insane. It's chaotic. But you realize these things are spread out over time. Mm-hmm. And just like we talked about sowing seed before and letting those things grow and cultivate, well, all these different plants and different things take different times to grow, and they have different needs. So, for example, all last year, and part of sabbatical is I helped a friend with his mobile food business do mini donuts at street fairs and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, this is the funnest thing I've ever
donuts
done.
Too. You love that.
Donuts, this is freedom. We're telling jokes, we're playing music. I did it for a year with him. And I actually tried to partner with him a little bit, do a franchise thing. It didn't work out. But all that to say, my wife and I are actually launching a new business this week. Our first event is June 8th. So we have a mobile pop-up donut shop. It's called delicioussbites.org. And, this is a seasonal business. I'll do it June through November, right? So, and I'll do it I'll do a couple events per month. That's 1 day, 2 Saturdays a month, right? So that's the business model. So you can still have, 5, 6 other days of the week to do what you want. But
so you would take the trucks to festivals?
Yep. Our first one's going to be Hunterdon County Community Day, June 8th. And
hey, good luck with it.
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love donuts?
Be fun. So, and that's part of my...
I had transportation. I would love to go with you.
Yeah.
What day is that?
Saturday, June 8th.
Yeah, we have to see what's on the schedule. Maybe we can come by.
Yeah, right on. That would be great. Have some donuts.
Yeah, absolutely. Represent, just come up and the partnership and friendship that we have now. I think we had talked a little bit about it in the back room. Just good way, our show on the back end too, to connect various foundations. And people like Tatum, the Dr. Bo, we're going to go and do the mural. Mark's going to paint that for Dr. Bo. So if there's anything that we can do to help out too and connect you with any other resources, we're glad to.
Thanks, guys.
And we'll see if we're available to come that Saturday too.
Right on.
Buy some donuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll check it out.
Thanks, man. Thanks. So yeah, things can appear, chaotic, but I think like if you look at, the farmer and the way that he does his sowing and reaping, we understand that things are for seasons, or for time. So, to answer your question, like, have I found my purpose or things like that, man, I think it's my job right now to be a son of creation.
Yeah.
If God's a creator, I'm just going to identify as a son right now. And I wanted to call our talk today "Escape from the Kingdom of Hustle," because I had this Christ-centered coaching business doing good things, but I was working 80, 90 hours a week, riding on caffeine and adrenaline, and my marriage was suffering, my health was suffering. Then when we finally decided to take a break, and I had hired a coach, it took to help set my team up so I could step away. I took a step away, and my wife was pregnant, and a baby came a month early, so I had a week off before the baby came.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, her name's Hope. She's 2 years old.
Wow. Hope.
And very appropriate name, because I honestly felt like I was stuck in my business. I had become a slave to
I'm afraid of that happening because we're small. So we're trying to grow a good culture and trying to position myself accordingly. But that worries me, especially when it comes to, I had a tough time in the beginning, not constantly talking about it with my wife, Kristen. I had to learn to separate it.
Yeah.
I had to learn to separate it and now too, the way my life is, some friends that I have are also coworkers now more, because my older friends are, babies and naturally are doing their thing too. So yeah, it's tough to balance that out. And I try to keep time open, but it's interesting too, because a lot of people don't realize the guys or girls that you see on, maybe they're in the personal development space or something like that, where they're authors, speakers. Some people spend a lot of time with family, but they just, on paper or in the digital space, look like they're everywhere all at the same time, because they have made enough money to be able to outsource certain things, get good people to be able to do it, manage it at a higher level, and sort of position themselves to go back and forth within the leadership, I think, with other companies. So I think that there are ways, and I've even presented it to our team, So hopefully as this grows for me to position myself in there, but it really is with that in mind, man, because what you're saying is something that I'm worried about falling into the trap too hard, because I could definitely get consumed with work.
Well, I saw this. I saw like, given my dad's story of being in poverty at one point and watching him come up. He stayed there at. I must perform at a very high level. I must create good money and create jobs and multiple offices and stuff. But what it cost him, what he traded in return was actually his family. I'm the oldest of four, and we didn't have a lot of quality time with dad growing up, and other challenges and things came from that. But in the pursuit of success, it turns into hustle, and hustle becomes the god, or money becomes the god in the name of doing good work and doing this mission and doing this, and we become blinded by our ambition to do well and provide for the family, and I'm going to make sure that never happens again, or I'm never going to go to that spot. So I must drive, I must work, I must do this to fight against that fear, to push against that monster of what if you don't have, what if you're without. So in this period now of 2 years of not really generating an income, I sold some real estate, and we've been okay. My wife's still working. We've been fine financially.
Yeah, that's good.
But in just not having something to do for the first time has been very unique and weird for a while. So I did a lot of volunteer work and realized, oh my gosh, this is more fulfilling and fills the tank. And we can have all in my world and my.
It's real money for me.
What's that?
That's the real money for me.
What is?
Experience and just that. You said fill the tank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's that connecting, being able to help, those relationships, that just fills me up better than money, sex, drugs. I've said that a couple times on the show.
Think about it too. Those things are dopamine hit. They're high, right? I remember the first time I was in a network marketing company, and I had won a trip to, where did we go? To Cabo.
Oh, nice.
And it was first time winning something like that. And I was like, sweet.
Cabo, Mark.
And I was psyched for 4 minutes. And I was like, that's it? So I was like, oh, maybe I should win the upgrade, win the VIP thing. So, all right, let me hustle a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Sick. Won the VIP. Huh.
Yeah.
What am I missing? This isn't it. So it didn't, and I wasn't satisfied there. So I tried, let me become more successful in business. Let me generate my income a lot more. That's great. I remember doing an event online. We used to call these 5-day, 7-day challenges. And we did a day where I made, and this is a lot for me, but close to $200,000 in a day from this event. That's the most I've done outside of real estate. Mm-hmm. And it didn't do anything to me, right. To my heart, to my head. I was just like, okay, that's it. So I'm like, this is not it. Making more money in the name of God or whatever. I'm still empty. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I do. I know what you mean. I had started a business years back when I was younger. It was not for the right reasons, though. I think that's why I was unsuccessful. I also jumped into it so kind of manically. I bounced around a lot in my career, too. Looking back, seeing maybe where other people may have stayed somewhere for security, I do see it as an advantage. So you doing all those various things, I don't know, at times if you had training or mentors in those places. Oh, so yeah. I would go to a company and then have training. Really, I would see what management styles I liked. Well, I didn't know I was doing that at the time. Mm-hmm. So collaborating with through Experian, really great marketing people and sales teams, then seeing managers or people that I didn't like their style. So being able to pick and choose a la carte, I think has put me in a position to really lead this thing in a great way, and just background and things like that. But that experience of bouncing around, I know they say, oh yeah, you shouldn't, maybe security stay at a place. I know the younger generation doesn't really do that as much anymore, but there's something about getting a variety of perspectives and different jobs too that is helpful.
Yeah. So
You know?
I mentioned to you, like, my pastor a couple weeks ago, like,
Yeah.
oh, I got a new job. I have a job right now working for, it's called Solid Foundation. It's a nonprofit in Patterson that does community-based violence intervention.
Oh, that's great.
We do that for kids through skateboarding and after-school club. So first job I've had in years, long time. My pastor asked me, so do you think you're going to be there for the rest of your life, and that's the thing you're doing now? And it was a jarring question for me.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah. What? But no, you bring up a good point. Like, what if all of those things that you go through are really training or experiences, or you're in school of the spirit?
There it is.
101.
There it is.
And those pieces are actually divine direction in leading to a unique school, to you to do what you're uniquely wired for and divine for. Like, if you look at some things on my resume, they don't fit together, like business skills, wilderness first aid. I got a food safety.
Yeah, I like
thing,
that
like,
though.
Thank you. You know, and I see all these in my new job. I see all these different things that I had been interested in, trainings, like, oh my gosh, I have the certification to do what they need for this event right now, or I have the training for XYZ for this marketing effort they want to do. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've become a bit of a Swiss Army knife. And I think if we look at ourselves like that and say, what if all of our experiences are actually valuable, then we're not so off track from where the Spirit wants you to be. They're really just little calibrator connections, little calibrations.
It's like set the dial at a right frequency, and then
Yeah. I don't know if he knew he was doing it at the time. My grandfather, growing up, now somebody, Great Depression, always frugal, cash and wallet, that kind of thing. He always used to say, when I was a kid, put yourself in your work. You remember, always put yourself into your work, constantly, all the time. He was planting a seed in my mind, like I said, whether he knew it or not, because one day it was at hydrothermal when I was working under the manufacturing facility. They do steam injection equipment for plants, like food, beverage, pharmaceutical. Yeah. So like wash down tanks, maybe in a food has to be at a certain temperature. That's what they do. And Ray Marone, the old founder of NCK Equipment, the company that I bought, great guy, great mentor. I saw a certain perspective on the way Ray saw the market. And in manufacture, sometimes naturally, there sometimes could be some misperceptions of what a rep firm like me is doing in the industry. So I felt like I wanted to put myself into the slides and put together a presentation. So I went in the CEO's office, Steve, and I asked him if I could present to the sales team. So when I did that, it went really well. And I was like, oh, okay, that's what that is. I saw something, I put it visually into a presentation. It was coming from me, how I saw the market. Some also issues that I feel nobody addresses. So I try to do it as professionally as possible. Did like a skeleton presentation. I didn't stay there long enough to be able to do the full, and it went really well. It went great. So I think that, like you said, everybody does have a unique gift. Everybody does have a perspective, and all the experience, it's really your perspective. What is it? Is it things that brought you to the point where you can now implement and be your full self? Or is it, just, I've been jumping around too much and I can't find a job, or I'm upset, like the negatives. It's really what people focus on.
That's a great question. In the story I told you guys earlier about, coming from Florida late in the night as a child, and then, my dad coming up with that, I have always learned and been ingrained that, entrepreneurship was the way. And, if you don't have a business, you're trading hours. How did my dad used to say? He said something, trading dollars for time, something like that. I can't even say it anymore because I don't subscribe to it. Yeah. But and I'd have like these things in my head. It's so messed up. Like that job stood for just over broke. And I'm like, are you kidding me though? And I'm like, man, I have a job now I'm 36. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 18. And I'm just like, dang, it's kind of nice having a steady paycheck.
Yeah.
Like that I show up and then I get this. So I think like going through the different things and trying different things is actually my escape. Was actually my escape plan, the escaping from the hustle of you must be a business owner, you must make as much as possible, you must maximize value, you must impact as many people as possible, scale, big, and that's not actually true. And there is a reason that Jesus didn't take 100 homies with him to go do his mission. He took 12. He took 12 young men or in their teens or early 20s or that's who he rocked with. And so all these different things, I think, unlock parts of you. So for me, always being like money, hustle, business, this, I have rediscovered this whole side of me that is actually an artist, an advocate, and I'm gentle. I'm way more gentle and sensitive than I realized. And and taking the time to slow down and discover those parts of me and lean into it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I actually like myself now. I love myself. I don't need part of success or a business to say like, you're doing good, Ron, attaboy, good job. So, and you realize, oh man, my creator wired me this way. I maybe just haven't found the right venue or the right application of my gifts. And what's funny is we're usually the last ones to see that about ourselves. Other people will see it outside of us, and I'll be like, huh, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
Can you relate to what I'm saying? I know you're an artist, Mark. Can you relate to what I'm saying?
Yeah. Especially when you just said like not having the right avenues to bring it out, or not realizing it at a certain point where you realize it now that you didn't realize it before. You know what I'm saying? And then, it's crazy.
Yeah. But little things action-wise, I do something simple where knowing the overall project, where we're headed, 3 simple things at a minimum that I can get done that'll align with the goal or the project, because we had a full episode with Javon Blue, Canning Talks podcast. He does group, like I mentioned, at Liquid Church. Really great one about distraction, because the Satan definitely comes in and distracts at those times, tries to take everybody away, I think, from their purpose. So maybe your dad at the time was kind of alluding to focus. Maybe he was thinking, Lee, keep your eye off the ball there. Yeah. Too, with that, he might have not said it right with the, every minute or dollar a minute, whatever it was. But I don't know. It really, you could get so distracted from being off your purpose so easily nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, and we all have different things that are actually unconsciously driving us or motivated us. My dad had a pretty rough, abusive childhood, and so if I put myself in Dad's shoes, I'm seeing him. Let me try to control as much as I can to keep myself feeling safe. Let me try to provide safety for my family, so what happened to him as a little kid doesn't happen to my family now. So I can see that now as I'm older and say, our dads did the best they could with what they had and who they were at the time. It is what it is. So like a lot of us can be upset or mad at a father figure or a parent figure, and I think the moment that you get to the place of, I think I just need to forgive them and let it go and realize they did the best they could with what they had, is the moment that you experience the freedom and the ability to step into a greater version of yourself, because who is being imprisoned by that mindset is you, not them.
Yeah, and I almost feel like for me with my father, because early on when I was young, my parents got a divorce. He remarried. It was Jehovah's Witness. He got really deep into that. a couple other incidences that happened, which there was a gap in us really talking for a while there. And, alcohol, gambling, things like that were involved. I view it now as sort of his sacrifice to me in a way. It is a little bit, if I look at it like, he had his demons. He had certain things he could have done better. Yeah, everything's reconciled now. We've seen each other. He was at me and my brother's wedding, stuff like that. So our relationship is good. But him going through that pain and those things were almost his sacrifice to me to look at who I don't want to become and pass on to my children. So I'd be doing his life of pain and that a little bit of a disservice if I went ahead and did the same stuff. That's how I look at it.
Dude, I couldn't agree more. I mean, and that's what I woke up to. I didn't even realize it, but I was on that same path that your dad was on, that my dad was on, maybe yours too, Mark, I don't know. But a lot of us in the pursuit of success and the pursuit of impact, we lose sight of some of the reasons why we started in the beginning. Like a lot of people become business owners and entrepreneurs for the promise of time freedom, the promise of more time with your family, the ability to buy a better education, better food, and those things are great. And I think without having the connection to the spirit that can satisfy the insight, we're always going to be driven for more, for that other style of dopamine, whatever you want to disguise it as or call it. At the end of the day, we want to be loved and we want to belong somewhere.
Yeah. And I think it's a blessing we have, Mark. I mean, I genuinely mean it when I say that I'm not really now subscribers, things like that, followers to what we have going on to lead towards the campus and our project specifically is nice. But I'm not looking for that or craving that in a way like, oh, I got to have recognition to be known or anything like that. So I'm glad that I do feel like it's led by the spirit. Like it was real. And my fear is what you say is that us making sure that we're keeping the message internally, we're reminding ourselves who we are, that love already won, we're victorious, and we're just stepping into it.
Dude, that's really well said. It's really well said, man.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so, but like I always tell, like growing, like you mentioned, my father growing up, I don't know his background, like really at all, but I just know from me being with my father and him having me around him and back and forth to work and stuff like that when I didn't have to go to school or I was going to New York to meet my mom at her job, he, like I always say, he gave me a gift by having me with him from time to time, going to work. Basically, he was giving me hands-on training, doing what he did, which was interior home remodeling and repair. So that's one of the reasons why, I will do art and it's like everything falls into play.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, ever since then, it was like, I saw myself thinking, I got to show my father, I got to do something with what he's showing me, with the skills that he's giving me. I got to do something for him to make him proud of me, whether he's here or not. Despite what we went through as father and son and whatever, I still feel like I got to give something back to him.
Do you feel like the mural with Dr. Bo, when we do that June 22nd, is that a way to honor your father? Or do you feel like he'll be with you there?
That'll be a start.
That'll be a start. Good.
That's
great.
Start.
See, it's a way to connect. And if there's any way this has something and could spark other dreams and others too, friends, family, help other people to connect to family, that's also just icing on the cake, man. When you're leading with something really great.
Well, you guys remind me. I forget where it is, but you guys remind me of this Bible verse that says, "Train up a child the way they should go, and they will not depart from it later." And we oftentimes think that means like, oh, introduce them to faith at a young age, or like here you go, 4-year-old, here's your Bible. Like, I don't think it actually means that. What I think it actually means is, how is this kid naturally wired or gifted? Like, what interests them, and help them get the training they need as they become older and as they rise up, and then they will not depart from their gifting later. Like, when I look at Mark, his story, sharing those times with his dad and the career you have now, I'm like, that's freaking awesome, you know. And it's also like why I called our talk today "Escape from the Kingdom of Hustle."
Yeah,
is that we can do, you know, we can do any kind of business or project or thing to make money or make an impact, and that's great. You hustle for it. You get off your butt and go. But at some point, like, it becomes about the hustle, and you become trapped to the thing that you created out of a not selfish place. Like, oh, my heart's saying this, I want to create this. But unless, like, I think we are dialed into that spiritual connection, the spirit, we're going to stay, you know, in the kingdom of hustle. And really, I need to go in for a moment and then come back out. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, really where we need to get to is escape hustle and enter the garden state.
Okay.
So the garden state, you can look at that as a pun for New Jersey, where we live. I absolutely love this state. It's awesome. But also, if you look at Eden,
except when finding permits for kayak.
We
won't get into that.
Touche. If you look at the Garden of Eden, before all of this now, it was Adam and Eve and the Father and God, the Creator. That's the garden state. And I think about, man, what was Adam doing, like, in the garden? He's probably just walking around with his dad. His dad's telling him, hey, I made this plant, and check it out. If you grind up the petals here and do it, it's going to be medicine, right? And check out this animal over here. This animal, you can use it to cultivate the ground, and like all these things. Right. Yeah. Like, or these berries, these are medicinal. These are for like, I'm just imagining like the Father sharing all these amazing things that He created with His Son, and then they get to partake in that, and then say, Son, well, what do you want to create with these resources that I've put here, right? And then when Adam goes to create with those resources or something, like, man, that's glorifying to the Creator, to God. But if we can go back to that state of being one with the Father in Eden, and tune into this, what is the Spirit saying?
But it's also servant. It's in service of too. And I think if people approach it a little bit more with that mindset, like servant leadership, positive leadership is really proven strategies. Yeah, positive environments, things like that. And I'm talking from a business sense, leadership sense. So yeah, I think something like that's important.
Yeah. I mean, being able to hear the Spirit and be at a place of, like, I can be still and be with myself and be okay not having to do something, not having to serve, not having to lead, and can I be content without a purpose?
Is there anything that you do specifically to get, if it's prayer, silence, whatever action that you take to get into silence or the mode of being able to receive the Spirit? Is there anything that you do specifically personally?
There's a great story about this in Matthew chapter 13. It's called the parable of the sower. And there's several different types of ground in that story. And the ground represents our heart, the conditions of our heart. One of the grounds in that story, it talks about something growing and then getting choked out by the thorniness of the weeds, and it growing together. And for me, I think that's a distracted heart. So to answer your question, Jeff, I think it's pruning.
Okay.
I have so many great things that I could do with my time, or especially people who are, if you're a visionary, if you're a creative, you're an artist, coming up with ideas is not the problem. You know, it's I only have so much time and so much energy. So which one am I going to do?
And you have to prioritize, and it gets difficult. That's why I like the 3 basic things. Makes it a little bit easier for me when I know that there are other small things, but I know that at least 3 that will guide me. Like it's almost like guiding yourself, kind of like leaving a bag for yourself in the morning before going to the gym. You know, you're setting yourself up with something prior to make your day better the next day.
I agree. So I think when you can prune all of the opportunities that you have, or options or lanes that go this way, and just be like, all of them are good. Like like in marketing, everything works. Like Facebook ads, Instagram, all those things work. It's about which one are you going to focus on that actually is going to produce. Yeah, I don't know. Like even with people, I'd rather be 5 deep than 100 wide for like my friendships. But
yeah, I agree. I think a smaller, tighter knit crew is the way to go. You know, with genuine quality over quantity.
Yeah,
I think with relationships especially.
Yeah, and speaking of quality and like pruning, it's like I think it's like getting aligned with what do I feel the Spirit's telling me. How have I been uniquely wired and designed?
Yeah.
And then like what's inspiring me right now? When you can connect those things, you have a convergence point.
Yeah.
And those convergence points, I think, is what you want to pay into. This is my gifting, this is opportunity, and this is what I believe the Spirit is leading me in or telling me to do. Well, boom, like that's a catalyst moment or a convergence point. And learning to say no to good for the best, I think, is a key skill to develop and going to like the next level of
especially if it's
impact or
money.
doing
I think
good.
too. If it's something that will, a lot of people are quick to sell out to something when they see the dollar signs, or are willing to do something maybe that's not kosher for their ethics. So I think that holding true to that is important.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, me and my wife talked about it, and you know, I could create another online business, and I dipped my toes in for a minute to do that, and saw myself saying like, oh man, I think I'm about to set myself up for a repeat, or I think you can, you know, take a moment to reflect back before, you know, shooting into the next big thing, and saying like, how am I aligned? Where are things really lining up with the Spirit, me, and opportunity? And like, hey, I'm just gonna focus my time there, and if I can do it healthy and sustainable, I think that's a win.
Self-care is huge too. I think that some strategies I use or have used are gratitude walks, success journaling, and journaling. So every day writing 3 things that I'm grateful for, 3 things I could do to make the day great, and then 3 things that could be improved. On a success journal, even if it's a terrible day, really it doesn't seem like much went well. Just 3 things maybe that did go well to program that. Because feeding yourself with positivity, it's like food. If you're always eating junk food and soda all the time and wondering why your body's unhealthy, I think it's really important for people to filter at times and be intentional about what they're bringing into their brains. It's like a Native American quote, like 2 wolves inside of each person. You know that, and the little boy asks, which one's going to win? You know, to the father, the one you feed is going to win. There's a negative dog and there's a positive dog.
Yeah.
John Gordon repurposed that too in like a simple fable. And I think that's really true. I think it's making a decision, but acting on it. You can't just sit around and wonder when it's going to happen. It doesn't work like that, especially if someone, I think, isn't mature in their faith or not faithful at all. And I do believe they can go in different routes, you know.
Yeah. Like we mentioned before, faith without works is dead.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? So if I can take time to cultivate that alignment that we talked about a moment ago, and then say, all right, from this, like, how do I want to express this? Where do I want to put my feet to? I mean, that's what you go to do. So am I going to create something now? Is there a group or an agency or people already doing the thing that's inside of me that I can go and be part of? You know, so I think it's taking some time to explore and do experiments.
You know what you might like that has been helpful to me? I do a one word every year. It's through John Gordon's book, J.O.N. Gordon. But you just follow it, and it gives you, you know, you're supposed to be in silence, listen, keep open to God if you pray, you know, things like that. And then you receive that one word. When I met Daryl, my one word for the year was encouragement. Mm-hmm. And, you know, this year it's patience. I'm trying to work on that though. Yeah. It's a tough one for me. You know, Mark, right? I'm an energetic person. What do you want from me, Mark? I'm passionate and I want to go get it. We got something great, you know?
And see, that's why we make a good team, because you're high energetic.
Yeah.
I'm more.
Yeah, he brings me down.
I'm
in a good way.
I'm the level. I'm the level cool. You know, just how I. If you really pay attention, you see like how I sit, how I talk. Like it comes out.
Yeah, we're very different in that regard.
Right, it comes out, and a lot of people tell me, "You're so quiet. You're so laid back. It's the spirit. This, that, and the third." People come up to me like, "I love your spirit. I love you." This, even, you know. I tell people, like, the animals come up to me. The dogs in Morristown, they come up to me. Some dogs just come right up to me. The owners be looking at me like, and the animals, they just come right up to me like, you're good with animals. You're good with this, that. It's the energy is, you know, when there's a certain type of, I guess, thing about you, people see it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And I guess that's one of the reasons why those things takes place, you know, and also I wouldn't be here right now if, you know.
Yeah, we do offset each other nicely. And one thing I'll say with Mark, with you have a good reputation in the community. That laid back, you know, people trust you, things like that. I really do think everything was.
Trust me, but
they compliment you though.
Yeah, they feel the energy. They trust my aura, the energy, my positivity, sort of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which makes me just feel like this is more meant to be because of that, because of the way we offset each other. And we were briefly talked about this before. We got to wrap it up after.
Sure.
The just various, like the people or the level that I would interact with and bring you into that world and you into another, like completely opposite worlds that we could bring each other into, even though our personality is really connected to that. That's what wave is. That's that spirit that's in between there. To try to gauge that, go past the distractions, connect with people and ride that wave, man.
Right. And I talk to all people, like people,
get it.
Me, you, him. I talk.
Ron is the man.
Everybody.
Ron is the man right here. Thank you so much, man. Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on. This was good, just getting your story and listening. I think we have some things in common. And yeah, anything you want to leave as far as your social media websites to any companies that you want people to come and find you, or just, I know you have a bunch of stuff.
Man, I have too many of those. My name's Ron Gillock if you want to find me.
All right, we'll see about putting some on the screen.
Google me. No, thanks for having me here and the chance to talk about exiting the kingdom of hustle and entering or cultivating the garden state.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ron, so much for being on. Everyone, thank you for joining us and have a great rest of the day. You take care. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to Ride the Wave. It's been a pleasure having you with us as we explore ways to make a positive impact together. Remember, every little wave creates a ripple of change. We appreciate any support you can provide as we plan to build an all-inclusive, modern campus and empower communities. For details on how you can contribute through various platforms, please visit us at ridethewave.org. Until next time, keep riding the wave of change with us. I'm Jeff Fisher, signing off, but the journey continues.